What's up, my loves? It's your girl Diamond. I'm back with my all new review of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Let's get into it. So we are back with Kiki and Tisha having a conversation about why Tisha cannot understand Kiki will hurt her like this, and she wants to know what happened. Kiki mentioned how angry she was that Tisha pulled away. She pulled away when she needed her the most, and she was angry with her for so long. But we get why Tisha pulled away. Tisha pulled away because she wasn't in her right place of mind. She was violent, and it hit the breaking point when Tisha was pregnant. They had a conversation out in the front. Kiki said F her and that baby. After she had the baby, she was coming over to her house all the time and finding out that Kiki stole her pain pills and she had a C-section. When I hear this story and I'm looking at this was the last baby that you had, so how old is the baby now? Maybe 8, 9. So this was 10 years ago when Kiki was going through battling addiction. And at that moment, you took her to rehab. And that what made Tisha hurt. That's what made her pull away. And Kiki felt very disheartened to hear that's what she was going through. And the fact that she was not herself at that moment. She did not recognize where the addiction had led her down that spiral path. And all she can do is apologize. She can change what happened in the past. And hopefully, prayerfully, they will never have to go through this again. So as far as moving forward, how do we move forward? Tisha says she can't let her back in. I can understand at that moment where Tisha felt hurt by Kiki and what she did to her. I completely wholeheartedly understand by pulling away, keeping your distance, keeping your peace, keeping your sanity. But what I want Tisha to also understand is where you messed up after you took her to rehab, you reignited the progress that you guys have had and it gotten burned when you went to Mel and Martell's party by telling Mel about Kiki's drug addiction. And she just came out of rehab though. I wanted Tisha to apologize for mentioning it to Mel and Martell. She didn't, but I did hear Kiki apologize for hurting her, that she will be 100% mindful of not speaking about her marriage. But I said the same thing. That applies to Tisha as well. I don't want Tisha to hold what happened to her, that she can't let things go and move forward. But she gets mad when people bring up what she did to them. Because that's exactly what just happened. Kiki and Tisha both bring up the past, both bring up where they've hurt each other. But I always, well, not always, based off of what I've seen and Kiki's lives and everything, I've seen her take accountability of the things that she said and done. I have not heard Tisha accept any accountability. I want Tisha to accept the accountability of, okay, so you told Kiki's business, which brought her on the show to tell your business. I can understand that, but you need to apologize for exposing her business first. Because that's where the reignited of the distance between y'all came up. So the truths here and now that they never bring it up. And I wrote it down. Tisha cannot always get to a place where she finds something wrong and wants to always call out other people for what they did to her. But when people remember what she did, she looks like, where'd that come from? Just like how it is now. That's all I want. So moving forward, this is the step to moving forward. Truths, never bring it up again. Never talk about it again. Tisha is setting up a fun day with all the girls. She's invited Kiki. She did not expect for the conversation to be hopeful, but it was. Baby steps. Baby steps, baby steps, okay? That's all it was. But I don't want Tisha to always act like she's a victim when she's done things as well. That's the one thing that I don't want to keep on seeing. Marceau. Marceau is at Black, and we see his father, Mark Scott. We've never seen the father before, and now we're seeing the father now. He still lives in Michigan, where he grew up, and he hasn't come down since the construction of Black. So they have a conversation about how proud he is of Marceau's success. He's proud of all his children, but he's letting Marceau know, while you have made a successful career, I want you to live in this successful career you've made. I know you like working hard, you want to provide for your family, but it wouldn't hurt you to spend time with them. His father said he didn't take his first cruise till he was 50 years old because he worked all his life. Don't work all the time while you're trying to make a living, I want you to start talking about making life, experience life, get out there. That's always been Marceau's problem. He's always focused on reaching that moment that he can get that moment of success, and he always comes up with extra reasons as to why he has to get to it. He figured once the home is built, now he can relax. When this project could be done, now he can relax. When this is done, when that is done, then he can reach that moment of I can now sit back and relax, right? His father talked about, I thought the same thing. I used to work at General Motors. I chased money for years. And I don't want my kids to make the same mistakes. Too late. You see how Maurice works? Marceau has never shown any sign of stopping because he wants to reach that moment of success as if he hasn't reached it yet. So pretty much, reach the level where you're good. You're cool. You can stop and smell the roses. Spend time with your family. And the fact that his dad has been a witness of don't always work. But I also want to know, where were you at, Dad? Because Marceau and Maurice talked about how they didn't have a lot. Marceau worked since he was 11. So at what point, when did you step out on your family? Because when at some point did you come back to your family and now you have a good relationship with your sons? I just want to know that part. So he missed out on where he should be enjoying his family, enjoying his wife. And he tells Marceau it's a difference of being productive and being busy. Like, when do you make time? When do you take a break? When do you stop and realize that you've made yourself a success and you should be enjoying the fruits of your labor? So at some point you work. You're going to wake up and find out your kids are grown out the house. Your wife's hair has turned gray. He said it's easier to say to stop and smell the roses, and that money isn't everything. It's pursuing a passion, pursuing a dream, and working hard to have his family achieve generational wealth. All of that is good. That's a plan. That's a goal. But how long you plan to do that? Your oldest son is approaching high school. He'll be out of school within the next couple of years. You have your daughters growing up in front of you. When? You should take the time you have now to be with your family. But he don't think he needs to stop. And this is like a hard head makes a soft ass, because when does Marceau seize the fact that everything that he does is for the family, but he's not experiencing it with the family? But I feel like he does what he wants to do when it makes sense to him to do things. But I just hate the fact that he thinks there's 9 to 5 mindset as if he works a 9 to 5. You have multiple businesses. You have multiple streams of income. You can't afford. Tisha is meeting up with Kimmy at this very quiet coffee shop because she has to find space for meetings now because Marceau kicked her out. You know why he kicked her out? Because Marceau took on a business partner that she didn't know, took over Tisha's desk that she didn't know, had his degree put on the wall after Marceau has told Tisha not to put her degrees on the wall. And then I'm going to remember Carlos' interview he did with Tisha, when Tisha says she is majority owner of Scout on paper and that she doesn't have the authority of the hiring and the firing. So at some point, we're back to Marceau doing business without Tisha knowing. He's not communicating, but this is probably what he's already been doing because you just said on your interview. Your percentage, however you want to flip it on this episode, I'm already skipping ahead. You said you own 85%. On that interview, you said 70. Which one is it, 70 or 85? And you don't have the authority to oversee the hiring and firing. That's Marceau's job. So Marceau did his job by taking on a business partner, but he didn't tell you. Obviously, all you do is appear as the owner on paper, but you don't have the power in real life, in the moment, in the business. It's on paper. So she knew at one point that they were going to partner up, but on a couple of projects. Did not think that he would be an actual employee to the company. So now, covering up that he just took her own office, scooted her out of her own business that she owns, he said to her, he's going to renovate another building at the end of the building, but she wants it done by the end of the month. So she'll be rotating to every little coffee shop, coffee bean place, anywhere that has internet so she can conduct her business. Why does he have you going around these little coffee shops to handle business that you can't handle in your own office? Is that your office, Tisha, or is that his office? Because I'll be damned if my husband decides to put me out of our business that I'm majority owner of. Oh, hell no. You ain't gonna, no. You ain't gonna do that to me. That ain't gonna work for me. Then it led to how Kimmy has her own um magic tricks on how to deal with married to a Scott man, because Kimmy has her bag of tricks on how to maneuver to get Maurice to do what she wants to do. And that's what Tisha wants to figure out. Find out the right time to approach a situation and maybe play it up after a sexy session. Then he'll give you what you want. But I feel like I don't want to have to always give up my body for me to get what I want. If I'm telling him that made me feel a way, then he needs to fix it and make it up to me. If I'm expressing to him, he needs to communicate with me. That's not me after giving him my body a little head session. No. So I'm like, okay, Kimmy, but even if you have your bag of tricks on how to maneuver Maurice, he still goes out of his way to make you look stupid, like how he did with Kawa. Had set up a meeting, but left you to deal with it. Didn't tell you about MJ smoking in the bathroom. Let you hearing it out from other people and him not communicating. So, Kimmy, do you really have the bag of tricks you say you do, or you're just saying it? Because I don't think you have it all figured out on how it is to be married to a Scott man as well. But either way, moving on. Um, then Kimmy received a phone call from Mel. You know, she wants to know, after going through her journey, are you able to still get massages? She's on speakerphone. And she said, I am most of the time. I like getting massages. Then Tisha said she wanted to talk to Mel. Kimmy's face. You want to talk to Mel? Yeah. Oh, okay. Kimmy was looking scared and nervous because we came from the reunion where Tisha called Melody, you have a dark soul. You are a devil in sheep's clothing. So how can we go from her being a devil in sheep's clothing to you wanting to have a conversation on the phone, and it's to invite her to a girl event? You know, it's for Kimmy, but I want you to be there. And Melody said, okay, cool. Let me tell Kimmy to give me the information. And I'm just like, wow, that's interesting. So what happened, Tisha? Did you get confirmation? Did you get a phone call from Carlos at that interview where you need to get with the program or get off the show? You're going to have to be around Mel. Let go of whatever issues you have with her, because I don't see how somebody can come back from being called a devil in sheep's clothing and you're calling me to invite me somewhere. I'm looking at you sideways like, oh, someone put a fire under her ass, huh? Moving on. Marceau and Tisha. This had to be in a planned scene, because all of a sudden Marceau is enjoying having a quiet evening with his family. He's very lucky. Then Tisha's trying to find the right time to approach him about how he kicked her out of her own office. Now all of a sudden Marceau wants to make a joke, a very poor joke, a very gaslighting, manipulative joke that aren't you guys happy mommy cooked? Because see, mommy was busy working. And since mommy was busy working, she didn't come home and cook for y'all because that's not important to her. Her cooking for you is not important for her because she's busy working. And it's just like, do you hear yourself? But I feel like it's two ways for me. Marceau knows what he says on camera for the fact of everybody gonna come after him for what he says. But I believe he believes what he's saying. He is actually making a point that Tisha wasn't home when she should be home cooking dinner for y'all, as if you don't have no hands. And I'm so happy that his daughters called him out and said, well, what about you, Dad? The tables have turned. Then his son, MJ, he said, I will never let my spouse talk to me like that, especially after 17 years. I said, come on, MJ, you better say it. And Marceau was shocked that his son didn't co-sign on Marceau's side. He instantly was like, I know this fool did not talk about my mama like that. I know he did not. So I was like, yeah, you don't come for a son of his mom. He's a mama's boy. Mama's boys are gonna always ride for their mamas. Period. I got a son. My son gonna always ride for me, always protect me from anybody. Okay, you can miss me with that. So that goes to show you Marceau's misogynistic traits didn't pass on to his son, and it probably surprised him that it didn't. I'm like, get away from me. You know, sons are very protective of their mothers. Get away from me. So now he believes that his kids knew how to joke. I don't see how, if your son wants to call you out for saying that. Now it makes me want to know how much has happened in that household that the son now wants to speak up. Because must have been some times where MJ was quiet, never thought he had the ability to speak up. In this moment, he spoke up. So after that, she's telling him that he needs to find a balance with everything. Just like how she's trying to find a balance with everything. But you don't understand what I go through because you're not a woman. And Marceau always brings up that everything that he does, Tisha can't understand. But he will never want to understand what she goes through. Just like how he doesn't think that he has to. He doesn't have to understand that as a mother and a wife, you have a lot on your plate. You have to make sure the house is clean. The kids are good. You're good. There's food on the table. The house is clean. He don't want to understand all that. Just like how he had a hard time handling the kids by himself, that he didn't know how to make simple food for them and didn't know that his son was allergic to peanut butter because he thinks that that's not his job to know. All his job is to do is provide, protect them, make sure they live good, but he don't want to know what it actually is to be around his kids. Do you know what your kids do on a day-to-day basis? Do you help them with their homework? Does your son have basketball? Does the little girls have dance recitals and stuff like that? Do you know? Do you be, participating in that aspect? Or are you just so proud to say you got them in this house? Because I just feel like Marceau looks at all those other things that he doesn't want to learn to do. That's for a woman's job to do. And it's annoying me that the mindset that he has is like, ugh. So then it came to a conversation about Tisha wanting to be involved in the business as far as being aware of who he's bringing in the company. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, though, Tisha, he don't have to because you're just the boss on paper. You don't have no power and authority to demand that he tells you who he's hiring because you don't have that power. And as far as him being communicative, when has Marceau ever been communicative with you? Never. Okay, now as far as you being more involved in the business, you own the business. What do, Tisha? How do you become more involved if you're not already the owner? Make that make sense. And trying to infiltrate her role in this business. How do you infiltrate a role if you already own the business? And make that make sense. So she said nobody should be coming into a company that I am building that I know nothing about. To tell him that. Because he don't view you as a partner. He don't view you equal. He views you as someone who says yes to this and don't question nothing else. So he disagrees. And then he brings up a football analogy of a coach who owns the team and the player who does all the championships, all the, wins and that be in the field. You're just someone who owns it, but I'm the one doing the hard work, which means Marceau does the manual labor. He's the general contractor. He's oversees the projects, but he doesn't think that you... And this is where I get stuck on. Tisha has multiple degrees. So I'm just kind of like, what place do you want her to be in? It don't make sense to me. But at some point, he ends up saying, I am the one who filtrates everything, and I need for you to just play your role, which means don't ask him no questions. Don't try to involve yourself in the business because he doesn't want you in the business. He just wants you to say yes to this and go back home and cook for the kids. That's all he wants to do. Hence why he kicked you out your own office. All I'm hearing is BS from him because he always tries to use analogies and use big words to just say, I don't want you in the office. I don't want you in the business. I only had you in the business because people are coming at me about how I don't treat my wife equally and that I don't view her as a partner because you don't. We all said it last season that the whole point of him making her the majority owner is to save face and possibly make her the fall guy if things was to go wrong, that she owns majority of the company. Oh, I can't. And it's really hard for him to communicate. Had he just communicated with, hey, I'm interested in hiring somebody. I want you to oversee them. He doesn't even think of her in that aspect, as if she's not qualified to do that. He doesn't think of her as someone, as his equal. And it's annoying to me. It's excuses he made up so many excuses as to why he didn't have time to let her know that he was bringing somebody on. There were so many projects. I had to go here, I go here. I had so much on my plate that I didn't tell you. You go home with this woman. You go to bed with this woman. You wake up. You have kids with this woman. You have her phone number. You mean to tell me someone who you're married to, you could not come up with a minute conversation, a minute meeting, a minute something while you're in the same office and let her know, hey, I'm actually scouting around for someone to invest in or someone to partner with, and when they come around, I want you to oversee their qualifications. Like that, it wouldn't have been nothing hard for him to communicate. And he's having such a hard time not listening to her. He's making it seem as if what she's asking for is hard to understand. What she's expecting is hard to get. So she's telling him, you need to communicate more. That's what, and it's annoying me. It's really annoying me how he disregards everything that she says, everything that she does, make it seem as if she doesn't know what she's talking about, but she does. He's an asshole. And not understanding that the way you have this guy come in and take over my space, that hurt my feelings. He's all about that happened. To her, you hired this guy without telling her. He came over, took over her desk, put his degree on the wall after you said she couldn't put her degree on the wall. Now she's scouting around these little coffee shops to do work at her own office. Like, what the hell? What the hell? Like, it's really bothering me that this man does not see how he treats his wife. Hence why Tisha fights tooth and nail to come at other people that she has the best marriage, I've been married the longest, and blah, blah, blah. It's because of how he treats her. And she doesn't give him the same energy that she'll give to other people. This man made you like a fool at your own company. He took your office from you. I ain't got time to deal with that. It's going to have to take Tisha to do something drastic in order for this man to know she ain't playing with you. But I don't know how long she's going to do it. She's going to probably come up with other excuses as to why he did what he did, because she did the same thing as to excuse his reason for why he went to Africa and left them. She covered up for him. But I'm going to move on because I'm getting annoyed. Moving on. Tisha. It's a day of Tisha's event. She wanted to celebrate Kimmy going through this journey. She invited all the ladies, but it's a spa day. I want to know, was she always thinking of a spa day, or did Mel mentioning can Kimmy get massages brought the idea in her head? I'm not saying that everything that Tisha does has to be copied off of Mel, but that's how it's shown. That's how it's shown. And hopefully it is a drama-filled day, because everybody always comes to the table with some drama, and it flashes back to every single drama that they had. The Madani fight, Tisha's family reunion, Valentine's Day event. I'm like, Tisha, don't act like you never played a part in them. But I'll move on. All the ladies arrive. Stormy's wondering, is Mel coming? And is Mel coming with good energy, weird energy? Tisha's worried about Tiffany's energy, because Tiffany and Tisha had a conversation at her home that, not knowing Kiki at all, but seeing how the way Kiki moved, it made Tiffany feel like, if you can do that to family, it's a possibility you can do that to me. Well, I get that, but why does Tiffany all of a sudden have a problem with Kiki? If she hasn't spoken to her, she hasn't gotten to know her, she'll know her from a can of paint, and all of a sudden she's looking at how Kiki did Tisha, it's already making Tiffany feel away if you don't know her. And as far as like her throwing her under the bus, how did Kiki throw Tisha under the bus? So moving on. They have robes with their names on them. Stormy notices the family resemblance between Kiki and Tisha because they look alike. Now, Kiki replied back with, that's a compliment for you, honey. Tiffany took it and ran. She said, it's a compliment to look like her. And I'm like, Tiffany, what is your problem? What's your issue? Like, she's not trying to call out Tisha being ugly or anything. It's calling out that they got strong genes. Like, I don't get Tiffany trying to read into what Kiki is saying. Like, it's annoying me. And Tisha did the same thing to Courtney last episode. I think when the bartender BP called out how they look alike, I think Tisha said, you better accept that compliment, honey. It's a compliment to look like me. I think she said something like that. So if Kiki can say that, why is it a problem? If Tisha can say it, it's not a problem. It's, to me, it's going off that narrative that people want to call out Kiki for being like unfit. She's trying to fit in. She doesn't fit in. She's going wherever she needs to go. I don't like it. It's a nasty narrative about Kiki that I'm not liking. I'm really not. This is very awkward because they are really reading into what Kiki is saying as if Kiki wasn't being funny. Tisha says that Kiki got a smart mouth. So I don't have a smart mouth. I'm just smart. So After that, Tiffany messy ass wants to stir the pot and put on the sock and say, is this considered a puppet? Because at the reunion, teacher brought those puppets in to call out Kiki being Melly's puppet. So teacher threw it right back at Tiffany like, oh, you want one? I can get you one. Oh, it's for the kids? No, it could be one that looks like you. Oh, well, if you act like a kid, you get a puppet. I felt two ways. I felt like, Tisha, you had to have had that coming because you did it like a child, having those hand puppets. And I wasn't mad that Tiffany called you out for being a child for doing that though. But I don't think you caught it fast enough for her to be like, you talking about my cousin though. Because I was looking at your energy. I hope she's going to correct Tiffany of bringing that up. Because we didn't even get an apology from Tisha for having those puppets, or an apology for believing that Kiki was Melody's puppet, or stating that statement. So I was looking at Tisha. Are you going to correct her? Because she's talking about your cousin right here that you're trying to move forward with. Are you going to tell her, no, 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 Tiffany, we're not going to do it. I'm not going to play your game. No, because my cousin's right here. So don't bring that up. That's what I thought you would say, but you snapped at her, but it wasn't enough snap to defend your cousin from me. Because you said you can get put out. That's what you can do. That's what you can do, okay? So Kimmy said, Tiffany always starting shit. Yes, she is. Tiffany's working hard for this season 6 check. She's working hard for this check as well. And I don't know if she should be happy she pregnant, but her mouth will get her in a whole lot of trouble. It will. So Melody came in looking gorgeous in this red hair. Very beautiful. She's happy she's came to have a good time. They had different rooms. They had a sound bathroom and a massage table room and a room with face masks and stuff. So in one room, Tisha and Kimmy were having a conversation about Tiffany being shady, because she was. And in the sound bathroom, Tiffany starts a conversation with Melody about, I'm glad that you came, and I know that Kiki came. She never had the opportunity to talk to Kiki. This is from Tiffany, because she always knew that she was Melody's friend, and that Melody likes to surround herself with positive people. But then going right back to what happened at the Christmas party, that there were things that were said, and that Tiffany didn't like what was said, and she just wants to know, like, how does that work? So Tiffany wants Melody to react to what happened at the Christmas party, but Melody's not reacting because she wants Melody to say something about Kiki, and she's not doing it because she said Kiki's not a bad person. She's not. But Tiffany wants more because she couldn't understand for someone who claimed to be your friend but treated her cousin like this. So I want to know how you feel about it. Melody deflected it by saying, I'm at peace. I'm enjoying the colors in this room. I just want to have peace. I just want to enjoy this time and this day. Loved it. Loved every bit of it. Now, Stormy and Tiffany were looking at her like, is that deflection? Call it what you want. It was a peaceful deflection if you ask me. Because I'm not about to say anything that y'all can use against me. I'm not about to be involved in Tisha and Kiki's mess that has nothing to do with me. No, keep me out of it, please. Please, 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 please. Now, Stormy noticed that Melody isn't going along with what Tiffany wants her to do. And Stormy expected for Melody to be like, I don't want to talk about it. But even if she don't want to talk about it, it could be read as if she has something to say, or she's not trying to say certain things. That's why she just said, I am at peace. I just want to be cool. Don't bring me in this. I'm straight. Okay? Now, Tiffany, again, said that she doesn't know Kiki. She hasn't got a chance to know Kiki. So I don't know what happened. And I'm just like, exactly, Tiffany. So you don't know Kiki. So why are you reading into it as if you do know? You don't know. You don't know at all. Why are you writing off someone that you don't know because of what they did to their own family members? You don't know that story. You don't know both sides. You don't know the history. So in fact, you want to write off somebody that you haven't really gotten to know, you didn't hear their side, you can't write off someone that you can't like. I mean, you can feel how you want to feel, but don't make it an issue if it has nothing to do with you. That's the thing for me. So Kimmy, Tisha, and Kiki are having a conversation about how they're moving forward. They have to take the right steps of figuring things out. Kimmy likes that they're moving forward, but cannot understand that you guys can disagree. It becomes bigger than what it is. How can something so small becomes bigger? Now, Kiki talked about, oh, I'm glad you said that, because knowing that her and Kimmy don't have a close relationship like her and Tisha have, but she did feel as some point Kimmy and Kiki actually cared for one another, because she didn't like the fact that Kimmy took things way out of proportion about what happened at Melly's Christmas party and told Tisha about it. Because I felt like if you wanted us to be in good standings, you would have patched things up instead of instigating a problem. Kimmy was like, I instigated a problem? Yes, you did. Kimmy said, oh, so you think I instigated, but don't you think you kind of instigated by you being there? No, she was invited. She was invited. That wasn't a plot. Was there an opportunity for Kiki to talk about Tisha? Absolutely. Not much of an instigation, though. Not to me. And then we already went through the history of how Mel and Kiki knew each other. We've seen all the invites that Kiki was invited to but never went. So this wasn't new. But Kimmy never saw Kiki around. So she just assumed that she's only coming in to instigate a problem. But that's not how it came off. So in Kiki's mind, that you made a comment that I was dogging my cousin out at the party. Now, Tisha said, I don't think it was instigated, but she said you didn't have a lot to say. But Kimmy said she wasn't the only one who agreed with that. Kiki disagreed. So if everybody at the party felt like you were talking so much about your cousin, they're wrong and you're not, yes. Because it was an exaggeration of her talking about Tisha. She didn't say nothing bad about Tisha at all. Nothing was exposed. No exact details was mentioned. So Kiki did admit that we're not in a good place. Tisha wants to know, why did that come up? Why would you say that? Kiki agreed. I probably shouldn't have said that. But other than that, there's another thing that brought back to me that I didn't understand. If only what I said got back to Tisha, why didn't you say how Stormy opened up with things as well? Because Stormy opened up the conversation. And she did. We flash back to how the whole conversation brought up and how it led to Tisha's name being brought up, because Stormy mentioned of what happened last season. Marcel posted that picture throwing his brother under the bus. That's how you throw people under the bus, Tiffany. That's how you throw people. Marcel threw his brother under the bus about being at the Atlanta trip. And Stormy read off as people always saying that Marcel allegedly cheated on Tisha, but nobody looks at Maurice. So when Marcel posted that picture, could that have been a deflection to get the heat off him and for us to look at Maurice? And I agree with Stormy in that aspect. When I did my review, I said, yeah, it was definitely a deflection. But Kimmy don't like to discuss anything about her marriage with Maurice, especially with Maurice, the alleged linebacker. She wants to dead that conversation in the bud. So she never mentioned that to Tisha. All she did was take back what Kiki said. Because Kimmy always shuts down conversations about her husband with Maurice. Always shuts it down. So Kimmy wanted confirmation from Tisha. Didn't I tell you what Stormy mentioned? Tisha said, I don't remember, but you probably did. You didn't. You didn't, Kimmy. You instantly went back and only told Tisha what Kiki said. And I will always go back with, Kiki didn't say much of anything. All she said was her and Tisha were not in a good place, which we knew, and that Tisha had looked inside her marriage. They had conversated infidelity. It was never a verbatim statement that Marceau cheated. That was never said. And then it's not going to act like we don't have confirmation of clues or facts that led to how. But yeah, you didn't tell her that. Was it get back from the first time that Kiki confronted you, Kimmy, when she thought that you weren't defending Tisha, you weren't acting like the sister-in-law she expected you to be, when you wanted to co-sign on Tisha lying that she didn't talk about Mel, but you actually were. And when Kiki came in and confronted you, you told her the whole story, which made Kiki realize, oh, word, you did. So was that give back, Kimmy? Let me know. So it already solidified what I already said before. Kimmy went back and reported Tisha only what Kiki said because it wasn't enough reaction. But then later, Kimmy did realize that Stormy had a lot to say. Now, as far as hearing Stormy's name, Stormy came back in and said, oh, let's hear about Stormy. What has been said about Stormy? Kiki felt like, okay, cool. I'm happy y'all here because we're going to talk about what happened at the Mel's Christmas party, where I felt though things were exaggerated and out of proportion. She addressed Tiffany first and said, I heard you had a lot to say about my relationship with Tisha. Now I want to know what you've been saying. Tisha talks about how she saw them have a deep conversation, which led to Tisha crying. Which scene was that? Was that when she went to her hometown? Is that the scene you're talking about, Tiffany? And how you always claimed to be Mel's friend, but you never showed up to be Tisha's cousin. Kiki said, let's be very clear. I never acted like she wasn't my cousin. I never portrayed as if she wasn't my cousin. And I don't think it's unfair for you to make that statement when you don't know what you're talking about. Tiffany boldly replied and said, I always know what I'm talking about. No, you don't, Tiffany. You don't. Not in this instant, you don't. You can't, because you don't have any clue with what's going on. Now, it's getting heightened. Kiki and Tiffany are going back and forth. Storm wants to say she's pregnant. I don't care. Her mouth ain't pregnant. If she thinks she has the audacity to stir up an issue, stir up mess that she does not know, she gonna get this work. If she should have remembered she was pregnant from the beginning, where you lucky I can't touch you. But that mouth, be prepared. Tiffany, you're messy. I like you, Tiffany. I see you're getting for that check, but in this instant, it's not sitting with me how messy you are by trying to stir up an issue with Kiki when you don't know Kiki at all. So again, Tiffany, you're not involved. Don't ask any questions. She said, I never was involved. I never said I was there, but it rubbed me the wrong way. You could have had a different approach with saying that though, Tiffany. You could have. Okay? But your approach was wrong. Again, you never look at the right time to say things. You read the room all the way wrong. Your approach, and you're automatically placing the blame on Kiki as if Kiki was the main one who put the division between her relationship with Tisha, as if Tisha didn't do anything. So I want to know how or when, seriously, how did you hear it? What was being said to you? You only watched from the season. You didn't look at any other ways to get the information because you're only going off of one story or one-sided information, not getting the whole story. You're not. They go back and forth, and Kiki said, I'm sorry if I'm a little hyped, but that just irked me. And you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what happened and how I throw her under the bus. And Tiffany talks about thinking that that's how family shouldn't act it, but I don't know. I don't have a lot of family. I don't have a lot of cousins. I don't have a lot of siblings. So I don't know how a big family operates that way. And I don't think that's how a big family should operate. So Kiki said, okay, well then, since you don't have a big family and you don't have siblings, then you don't understand how that feels. Period. And I was with Kiki on that. If you don't know how it feels to have a big family where you might have disagreements and arguments, then don't step in it because you don't get it. And it's to be continued. We're going to get more back and forth between Kiki and Tiffany. I think Storm is going to step in. And at this point, I was annoyed with Tiffany and Stormy. I was annoyed with y'all trying to gang up on Kiki as if she's the main one that's in the wrong, and she's not. Okay? So glad that Kiki called out Kimmy for being messy, for stirring up more issues between her and Tisha, because I will always go back to how I felt when that scene happened. Kiki really didn't say anything in details about Tisha. Nothing that was like, oh my God, I can't believe she did that. No. I think it was get back for Tisha exposing her drug addiction to Mel and Martell, which led for Kiki come back and say, oh, I got something for that ass. I'm going to come back and do this. So, again, Kimmy, you were being very messy. You kind of backpedaled. With how you did not inform Tisha what Stormy said. You only went back and told her what Kiki said because you know how would that get a rise out of Tisha. You knew. But y'all, that's it. That's all I have. Please stay tuned for the next video, and I'm going to see you guys later. Bye.